Chapter 4, Noah, Part 4, of the Legends of the Jews, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by M.L. Cohen, Cleveland, Ohio, July 2007. The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1 by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg. The Depravity of Mankind. With the spread of mankind, corruption increased. While Noah was still alive, the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth appointed princes over each of the three groups: Nimrod for the descendants of Ham, Joktan for the descendants of Shem, and Phenech for the descendants of Japheth. 10 years before Noah's death, the number of those subject to the three princes amounted to millions. When this great concourse of men came to Babylonia upon their journeyings, they said to one another, "Behold, the time is coming when, at the end of days, neighbor will be separated from neighbor, and brother from brother, and one will carry on war against the other. Go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make a great name upon the earth. And now let us make bricks, and each one write his name upon the brick." All agreed to this proposal, with the exception of 12 pious men, Abraham among them. They refused to join the others. They were seized by the people and brought before the three princes, to whom they gave the following reason for their refusal: "We will not make bricks, nor remain with you, for we know but one God, and him we serve. Even if you burn us in the fire together with the bricks, we will not walk in your ways." Nimrod and Phenech flew into such a passion over the 12 men that they resolved to throw them into the fire. Joktan, however, besides being a God-fearing man, was of close kin to the men on trial, and he essayed to save them. He proposed to his two colleagues to grant them a 7 days' respite. His plan was accepted, such deference being paid to him as the primate among the three. The 12 were incarcerated in the house of Joktan. In the night, he charged 50 of his attendants to mount the prisoners upon mules and take them to the mountains. Thus they would escape the threatened punishment. Joktan provided them with food for a month. He was sure that in the meantime either a change of sentiment would come about and the people desist from their purpose, or God would help the fugitives. 11 of the prisoners assented to the plan with gratitude. Abraham alone rejected it, saying, "Behold, today we flee to the mountains to escape from the fire. But if wild beasts rush out from the mountains and devour us, or if food is lacking so that we die by famine, we shall be found fleeing before the people of the land and dying in our sins. Now, as the Lord liveth, in whom I trust, I will not depart from this place wherein they have imprisoned me. And if I am to die through my sins, then I will die by the will of God, according to his desire." In vain Joktan endeavored to persuade Abraham to flee. He persisted in his refusal. He remained behind alone in the prison house while the other 11 made their escape. At the expiration of the set term, when the people returned and demanded the death of the 12 captives, Joktan could produce only Abraham. His excuse was that the rest had broken loose during the night. The people were about to throw themselves upon Abraham and cast him into the lime kiln. Suddenly an earthquake was felt, the fire darted from the furnace, and all who were standing round about, 84,000 of the people, were consumed, while Abraham remained untouched. Thereupon he repaired to his 11 friends in the mountains, and told them of the miracle that had befallen for his sake. They all returned with him, and, unmolested by the people, they gave praise and thanks to God. The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1 by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg. Nimrod. The first among the leaders of corrupt men was Nimrod. His father Cush had married his mother at an advanced age, and Nimrod, the offspring of this belated union, was particularly dear to him as the son of his old age. He gave him the clothes made of skins in which God had furnished Adam and Eve at the time of their leaving paradise. Cush himself had gained possession of them through Ham. From Adam and Eve they had descended to Enoch, and from him to Methuselah, and to Noah, and the last had taken them with him in the ark. When the inmates of the ark were about to leave their refuge, Ham stole the garments and kept them concealed, finally passing them on to his firstborn son Cush. Cush in turn hid them for many years. When his son Nimrod reached his 20th year, he gave them to him. These garments had a wonderful property. He who wore them was both invincible and irresistible. The beasts and birds of the woods fell down before Nimrod as soon as they caught sight of him arrayed in them, and he was equally victorious in his combats with men. The source of his unconquerable strength was not known to them. They attributed it to his personal prowess, and therefore they appointed him king over themselves. This was done after a conflict between the descendants of Cush and the descendants of Japheth, from which Nimrod emerged triumphant, having routed the enemy utterly with the assistance of a handful of warriors. He chose Shinar as his capital. Thence he extended his dominion farther and farther, until he rose by cunning and force to be the sole ruler of the whole world, the first mortal to hold universal sway, as the 9th ruler to possess the same power will be the Messiah. His impiousness kept pace with his growing power. Since the flood, there had been no such sinner as Nimrod. He fashioned idols out of wood and stone and paid worship to them. But not satisfied to lead a godless life himself, he did all he could to tempt his subject into evil ways, wherein he was aided and abetted by his son Mardon. The son of his outstripped his father in iniquity. It was their time and their life that gave rise to the proverb, quote, "Out of the wicked cometh forth wickedness." End quote. The great success that attended all of Nimrod's undertakings produced a sinister effect. Men no longer trusted in God, but rather in their own prowess and ability, an attitude to which Nimrod tried to convert the whole world. Therefore people said, "Since the creation of the world there has been none like Nimrod, a mighty hunter of men and beasts, and a sinner before God." And not all this sufficed unto Nimrod's evil desire. Not enough did he turn men away from God, he did all he could to make them pay divine honors unto himself. He set himself up as a god and made a seat for himself in imitation of the seat of God. It was a tower built out of a round rock, and on it he placed a throne of cedar wood, upon which arose, one above the other, 4 thrones of iron, copper, silver, and gold. Crowning all, upon the golden throne, lay a precious stone, round in shape and gigantic in size. This served him as a seat, and as he sat upon it, all nations came and paid him divine homage. The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1, by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg. The Tower of Babel. The iniquity and godlessness of Nimrod reached their climax in the building of the Tower of Babel. His counselors had proposed the plan of erecting such a tower. Nimrod had agreed to it, and it was executed in Shinar by a mob of 600,000 men. The enterprise was neither more nor less than rebellion against God, and there were 3 sorts of rebels among the builders. The first party spoke, "Let us ascend into the heavens and wage warfare with him." The second party spoke, "Let us ascend into the heavens, set up our idols, and pay worship unto them there." And the third party spoke, "Let us ascend into the heaven and ruin them with our bows and spears." Many, many years were passed in building the tower. It reached so great a height that it took a year to mount to the top. A brick was, therefore, more precious in the sight of the builders than a human being. If a man fell down and met his death, none took notice of it, but if a brick dropped, they wept, because it would take a year to replace it. So intent were they upon accomplishing their purpose, that they would not permit a woman to interrupt herself in her work of brickmaking when the hour of travail came upon her. Molding bricks, she gave birth to her child, and tying it round her body in a sheet, she went on molding bricks. They never slackened in their work, and from the dizzying height they constantly shot arrows towards heaven, which, returning, were seen to be covered with blood. They were thus fortified in their delusion, and cried, "We have slain all who are in heaven." Thereupon God turned to the 70 angels who encompass his throne, and he spake, "Go to, let us go down, and